get ready for our test, topic 4 test. I'm going to go through this rather quickly. Find an equation in the line in the given with the given slope. They gave 1/3 as a slope and the y-intercept of -1. So this means I already know what my slope is. If they want y-intercept, slope-intercept form, right? So this is y equals mx plus b. We know that the m is going to be our 1/3 because that's our slope, and our -1 is going to be our b. So this is simply going to be y equals 1/3 x minus 1. And there it is, y equals 1/3 x minus 1. They replaced the slope m with 1/3 and the y-intercept b with -1. All right, let's go over here, write an equation. So write an equation of each line in slope-intercept form. There's only one line, so I should just write an equation in slope-intercept form of the line. In any case, we can go ahead and find this in two ways. One, I can just count, right? Because these are in units of 1, I see. I can go down 3 and over 1, 2, 3, 4. That tells me the slope is going to be -3 over 4. Can everybody see that? I'm going down 3, 1, 2, 3 to get to my dot, and then over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 3 over 4. You could also use the slope formula and put this in y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That'll give me y2, which is -1. And then, and it didn't matter which one we used as number 2 or 1. This is the way they did it. Y1 was going to be 2. So -1 minus 2. And over here, x2 minus x1. Well, that's simply 4 minus 0. And they still got -3 over 4, right? Now, the great thing about this is they already told you where the y-intercept was. Where x is 0, right? The y-intercept then is now 2. So they just wrote y equals -3 over 4x and then plus 2. And they were done. All right, let's move on. Write an equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through here. This time they're making use the slope formula, right? So the first thing we're going to do is use our y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's going to give us our m. And I'm going to say that we're going to be taking probably -4 minusing 1 and 8 and minusing -4, right? I don't know how they're going to do it. That's how I would have done it. And then we're going to put it in, well, probably in, let's see, they want it in slope-intercept form. So I'm imagining since they didn't give us a set point, we would have to use our point slope form, which is y minus y2 equals m times x minus x1. And then we'd have to turn our answer into y equals mx plus b. All right, let's see if that's what they did. Yep, there's our slope formula, right? They took -4 and then minus -1. Sorry. Then they took 8 and minus -4. A negative times a negative is a positive. Let me erase my work over here so you can see what they did. They got the answer of -3 over 12. And for those that can't see the jump here, they divided both of these by 3. So they reduced it. -3 divided by 3 is 1. Well, it's actually they divided it, yeah, -1, excuse me. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. So they got -1 over 4 as m. So they replaced it, m right here, with a -1/4. And everybody can see right there. Then they took, looks like y is a -4, so they took this one here, right? And they took the y from this one and put it over here for y1. Then I took the x from this one, which is 8, and I put it over here, right, for x1. Now they work the problem. A negative times a negative is a positive. Then they're taking -1/4 times x right here, and -1/4 times -8. Well, negative times a negative is a positive. and 8 divided by 4 is 2. So now they have y plus 4 equals negative 1/4 x plus 2. What they didn't show, there we go. They're subtracting 4 from both sides, and negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2, and that's our equation. Y equals negative 1/4 x minus 2. All right, let's go over here where it says write an equation in point slope form. All right, this time we're writing point slope form. They've given us 2 coordinates and our slope. How nice. All we're going to have to do is plug this into, let's see, since they gave us a slope, I would put it right into this formula right here, right? Since they gave us this, I'm going to say this should be y is minus, well, they already gave us y1 is negative 1, and that's going to equal m, right? And m is negative 2, right? And let's choose m right here. The slope already gave me was negative 2, and they're going to multiply this to x minus, looks like 3 over here. Okay, and a negative times a negative is a positive. They probably got y plus 1 is equal to negative 2 times x minus 3. We're just going to see what they did real quick. Y plus 1 equals negative 2 times x minus 3. Perfectly done. Oh, except that I did forget to put my other parenthesis here. But this is exactly what they have down here. All right, let's go to the next one. Over here it says write an equation, slope-intercept form of the graph using 1 and 2 as your point. So first they're going to make you use this in their slope formula, right? They're going to make you plug that into y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, right? And that will give you the slope. Once they do that, then to put it in slope-intercept form, since they're making you use this, we could just go y equals mx plus b, right? And then we could just say that you're putting m, right there. And then b, I imagine, I guess, is already 2, right? So let's see how they did it. All right, here we go. They took negative 2. What they did is label these, in case you didn't see that. They labeled this one as number 2, set number 2. This is set number 1. And they knew each one of these are x, y. So now they took y2, which is negative 2, right? And they subtracted y, which is 2, right? They subtracted 2. And then that gave them a negative 4. Then they took x2, which is 3, and they minus 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. And negative 4 over 2 is negative 2. Then they did something a little different here. And I guess they got a different answer than I thought. They put it in the point slope formula. And I think that doesn't make the proper sense, because this didn't give me it at 0. And I forgot plus b is actually the y-intercept. So actually this is wrong. That was totally wrong. I mean, we should have went straight over. They're correct to the point slope formula. And that would have given us b eventually by taking y1, which they use as negative 2, and that means they use x1 as 3. Oh, I'm sorry, they didn't use negative 2, they used 2. This minus was already here. So correct it again. They use this coordinate here, which is 2, and then they use 1 over here. Sorry about that. So now we have y minus 2 equals negative 2 times x minus 1. We're taking negative 2 times x, it's negative 2x. Negative 2 times 1, that's positive 2. Then they're adding 2 to both sides. Let's see if I can at least get this part right. And 2 plus 2 is 4. That makes more sense. Because remember, this is where this is actually going to be our y-intercept, and that means x has to be 0. And that's why it wouldn't have worked the way I was suggesting the first time, because x was 1 over here. So I apologize for taking down the wrong road there. I'm glad we went and checked our work. All right, let's go to our next one. Write an equation in standard form of the line that passes through these given points. I'm going to try to be a little more careful on this one. But actually for standard form this time, standard form, remember, is AY, let me take this, actually AX, sorry, plus BY, and that equals C. I gotta go really slow. I hate messing up in front of you guys. So once again, we're going to go with our slope formula, right? We're going to start there with y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay. When we do this, I'm just going to go here 1 minus 5, right? And 1 minus 5 equals negative 4. I'm going to go negative 1 minus 4. So this would be a negative 1 minus a negative 4. And a negative times a negative is a positive. So this is really negative 1 plus 4, which equals 3. So our slope is going to be negative 4 over 3. Now that we have our slope, we're going to put it in, let's see if we want standard form. Since we don't have x equaling 0, we're going to have to put it in our point slope form, just like we did over here, and then solve it for our slope formula, and then put it into our standard form. Let's see if I'm right. Yep, here's our slope formula. This is where we got negative 4 over 3. Then we put it in point slope form. We replaced, let's see, y over here was 1. So remember we have negative 1, right, or negative y 1. So this would be a negative 1, right? And that means that they're going to use, let's see, y equals y minus 1, okay? And that means x has to be negative 1. Yeah, there it is. And a negative times a negative is a positive. So this is really plus 1 over here. Okay, I'm going to erase all this and put plus 1 there. And now we have negative 4 over x times x. That's where they get negative 4 over x. And negative 4 over 3 times x. That's where they get negative 4 over 3 times x. And then they get negative 4 over 3 times 1, which gives us negative 4 over 3. Now we're going to, and I'm going to take the work and bring it over here because we're missing some work. I'm going to bring this y minus 1 equals negative 4 over 3 times x plus 1. And I'm going to show you how they came down here and got this. Because they let's see, they multiply this across, right? And that gave them y minus 1 is equal to negative 4 over 3x. And this would be minus 4 over 3. Oh, I'm sorry, they already did that part here. I was actually, yeah, I should have started there instead of up here. But let's go ahead and continue now. That's where they got to here. And now, so I'm going to add 4 over 3x to each side to get x over here. So add 4 over 3x over here. Now we have 4 over 3x minus 1, right? That came down, equals, this is gone because we had 4 over 3x minus 4 over 3x. And then we're going to have a negative 4 over 3 down here. Next, let's see, what's missing? You know what? The y is missing. So I needed to put, yeah, because this was 4 over 3. Let me go ahead and bring down that y. I'm glad I caught that now before I made a mistake later. So this is 4 over 3x plus y. And this was the minus 1 equals. So now we're going to add 1 to both sides. And this is going to bring the work over here. If this was negative 4 over 3, and we could turn 1 into positive 3 over 3. And negative 4 plus 3 is a negative 1, and our denominator stays the same. This is negative 1/3, and that's how we got this over here. As you can see now, when we bring this down, we'll have 4 over 3x plus y is equal to negative 1/3. And that's exactly how we got from here to here. And now we're multiplying everything to 3 to get rid of these denominators because we want integers, we don't want fractions. We can treat this like 3 over 1. Now the 3's cancel out and that leaves a 4. That's where we got 4x from. And just like that, we can do it over here as well. We'll cancel out the 3's. That leaves us negative 1. And then, of course, 3 times positive y will be positive 3y. And that's how we got 4x plus 3y equals negative 1. All right, looks like I did all that one right, thank goodness. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. We've got write an equation of the line that passes through these right here. So passes through negative 4 and 2, and is parallel with this. I love this because it already gave me the slope 1/4. So now I know I've got 1/4 as my slope, right? 1/4 x. I'm not going to use plus 1 because it's parallel to this. It's not equal to this. But I don't know what their y-intercept is because this x is negative 4. That I learned from my other mistake. So I'm going to go ahead and use my point slope form to find my answer. As you can see, they went one step further. They put it right into, because they gave you x and y, they put this right into your slope-intercept form. Genius. Okay, so what they did is, let's see here, they took x, which is negative 4, and replaced it with x, right? Then they took 2, which is y, and replaced y with it. And then they figured it out. That was genius. Okay, so remember the slope was already 1/4, so they replaced the m with 1/4. And now they took 1/4 times negative 4, that equaled negative 1, and then they went ahead and, let's see, they just found out what b was, right? And they, then they took, let's see, they needed to add 1 to both sides, and 2 plus 1 is 3. And that gave them b. But this really doesn't give you the whole formula. The way they showed it in the book was in the point slope form. So I'm going to show it over here just for the people that keep on using this one over here and then finding b and then not realizing to put it into the formula. So let's try it this way. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, right? That's our point slope formula. So I'm going to replace my slope with 1/4. My x with negative 4. So this would be a negative 4. And then my y with 2. So this would be y minus 2. Now this is going to give me the whole equation. So let's work this out. We got y minus 2 is going to equal, well, let's see. We know that a negative times a negative is a positive. So I can rewrite this as negative 1/4 times x plus 4. Now I can distribute my properties. Y minus 2 equals 1/4 x, because 1/4 times x is 1/4 x, and 1/4 of 4 is actually 1, right? Because I can put this as 4 over 1, and then cross out my 4's. That gives me 1 over 1, which is 1. All right? Now I can, let's see, I can add 2 to both sides to get this in slope intercept form, and y is going to equal 1/4 x. Look at this, just like we had over here, and 1 plus 2 equal 3. And now you see how I got the whole formula given to me instead of just finding the b and then plugging it in. All right, let's move on to the next problem. Write an equation of the line that passes through -3 and 5 and is perpendicular to this. This is equally as easy, all right? Because I can go ahead, since it's perpendicular to y equals -3x minus 1, and I know the slope is -3, a perpendicular slope to -3/1 has to be 1/3 positive, right? So now I know this is my perpendicular slope. So I know it's y is equal to 1/3 x. Now I have to find what's my 0, right? Or what's my y-intercept. So I'm going to plug these into my slope form. Let's see, it should be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I'm going to erase this little mistake I made here just so it doesn't confuse anybody. All right. Now I'm going to replace my variables with numbers. I know that my y is 5, so the y minus 5 equals, my slope was 1/3, so I can put that here. This is x minus, well, x was -3, so I have to put minus -3 here, right? Now negative times a negative is a positive, so this will give me y minus 5 equals 1/3 x. I guess I should put 1/3 times x plus 3. Do one step at a time here. And now I'll distribute my properties. Y minus 5 equals 1/3 x. And then I can pretend it's just 3/1. That cancels out, which gives me plus 1. Now I'll add 5 to both sides to combine my like terms. This gives me y is equal to 1/3 x plus 6. Let's see how I did for next to the book. And the book does say y equals 1/3 x plus 6. And how did they do it? They did put it in point slope form just like I did. They didn't use that other method that they used in the last one. So here's the -5, just like I had over here, right? Negative times a negative was a positive. They multiplied 1/3 to everything in here and got 1/3 x plus 1. Then they added 5 to both sides and they got their answer. All right, let's move to the next one. Describe the relationship between the data in the scatter plot. Well, this is a tight set of data. And if I was to make my line down the middle here, I would see this is a tight correlation, right? So I would say this is a, let's see, a strong, since it's tight, right? A strong positive. We know it's positive because it's going up from left to right, right? So strong positive. And, well, we're going with the line, so it's linear. So a strong positive linear correlation. All right, let's see how that goes. And we describe the relationship. There's nothing here saying the units. So I would just say strong positive linear correlation. I would have put strong. But I guess without the scales here showing just how far everything is, if this was in millions, I guess, then this might be loose. So it looks strong to me, but I guess depending on the scale, someone could say it was weak. So I guess it's a safer way to say positive linear correlation. Number 1, wow, okay, we're talking residuals. Scatter plot shows a violent crime rate, Y, and crimes per 100,000 people in Florida, which is X years. So X describes how many years went by after 2010. So this would have been, I guess, 2011, 12, 13, 14, right? Let's see here. unless they're saying this is 2010 and then they're adding one. I'm curious to see how they play that out. Let's see, the equation y equals negative 1/4 plus 3x plus 514 models the data. All right, so they're saying that this line here, that's this linear line here, and the residuals are shown. They already gave us the residuals. That's nice. Interpret the strength of the direction of the correlation. Okay, well, really this doesn't take too much thought. We're talking, this is in hundreds of thousands of people, right? We know that we have a negative correlation, right? We know this is linear, so this is a negative linear correlation. We're talking about being off by 11.1 and negative 11.4 and 12.5. These are our biggest numbers here. The absolute value of this, well, the biggest absolute value is going to be 12.5, right? And when we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people, it doesn't really seem that big. I would say this is a strong linear negative correlation. Now it says the residuals are shown, interpret the strength and direction. That's what it sounds like to me. The data points are close to the line of fit, which has a negative slope. So there's a strong negative correlation among the data. Awesome. That's exactly what I called it. All right. So I guess it really didn't matter. I'm glad it didn't make us guess if this was 2010, because honestly, I think I would have said if this was after it, right, then I would assume this one would have been 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. But we didn't have to do that, so we got our answer. Self-assessment. Ooh, your account has a principal of $15,000 and your annual interest is 2%. How much does your account have after 5 years? Remember, whenever we're dealing with banks, we're talking about I equals pretty. All right, our interest, right? Our interest is going to be equal to our principal times our rate times our time. So this is interest right, is going to be equal to the principal times the rate times the time. Time is always in relation to years. Don't ever forget that. So if they give you months, as in your question, you better put that number of months over 12 months because that will show it in relation to years. So if they said it was 4 months, I would say, I would put as an answer 4 over 12, and 4 over 12 is really 1 over 3. So that'd be 1 over 3 years. They didn't do that, they told us 5 years, so we can replace the time with 5. Now the rate was 2%. We can't put a percent sign in this equation. So we can remember that we could turn a percent into a number by moving the decimal over 2 places. So this would be 0.02. And the principal, they already told us, was 1,500. Sorry about that. So we could put 1,500 as a principal. This is going to equal our interest. And it says your account has this, right? The annual interest rate is this, and how much does your money, how much money does your account have after this? So after we find the interest, we're going to have to add it back to our principal. So let's not forget that. We're going to add whatever our answer is, this interest, to 1,500 in order to find out how much is in our account after 5 years. So let's see. I'm going to go with, let's see, I can say that I got 1,500 times 0.02 times 5. Well, I know 5 times 2 is 10, right? And if I have 5 times 0.02, when my answer is 10, I know I've got to go over 2 spots, right? Back over. That's going to give me 0.1 as an answer. So now I've got, let's see, 1,500 times, 0.1. Okay, well, now that just means I'm going to move, since it's 0.1, I got to move a decimal over, right? So this tells me my interest is going to be $150, which means I would add 150 to each side. I'm hoping I'm doing this right, which would give me 1,650. Let's see how I did. Let's see, I'm going to erase this. I didn't hit the eraser, did I? There we go. All right. Remember I said it should be about 1,650. We're going to find out in a second here if I was right or not. It says here, I got to move this over. The slope of the equation representing the account B is found by multiplying 1,500 by 0.02, which is 30. They did it a different way. The y-intercept is represented by the initial amount with a principal, which is 1,500. The equation of the account is y equals 30t plus 1,500. Well, they did this a different way, okay? I'm not going to say this is wrong, so let's follow this out. They're saying then that they found the slope, right? They took 1,500 and multiplied it to 0.02, right? That's our slope, okay? And that gave us, see, 30t. And now they're saying that we're going to, see, add it to 1,500 because that's our beginning, right? That's what we started with, our principal. And that's going to be our y-axis, okay? So look at this. The balance of the account is y equals 30 times 5, right? Because time is 5 years. And that's what I had over there, 5 years, right? And 30 times 5 is 1,500. So let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, 30 times 5 is 150. Let's see, I left that out there. 150. Look at that. And 150 plus 1,500 is going to be equal to 1,650. That's exactly what I got over here using the y equals pretty formula. Okay, looks like they decided to show you how you could find the slope and work it that way. Using I equals pretty, you can also use it. I think that was our last one. It was great. So I'll see you in class. Hope this helped you prepare for the test. Good luck and good night.